Welcome back to the Business Forum Show. I'm Kevin Hunter. Our guest in studio with us today, Mary and Christopher Lauer from Sterling Cross Communications. We've been visiting about social media and the presence on the web, and it's a really interesting thing to me because there's so many people out there these days that are the experts on this subject, and it's when I think about like the real estate industry as an example. I've told people that there's so many agents out there that you can throw a rock out a window and hit one. And it's really true in the real estate business. Well, it's quickly becoming that in the social media market as well, that there are so many people that think they know what they're doing in this arena and yet are quite clueless to what really all the tools out there, really how to use it. Comment on that.
Couldn't agree more. That's
Tell them the social media secret.
If you can type, you can tweet. I know. Stop the presses, everyone. Just because you know how to use these tools, if you don't, in a business strategy, if you don't understand the why, how, and everything, where you're going to end up and then how to measure those results, it may as well be, the whole question is no one cares if I had a ham sandwich for lunch. Well, actually, a lot of people do. If you understand that, you're talking to someone who is covering ham sandwiches, and that's exactly what they're looking for. Or on the other hand, I was talking to a producer just today. They want to see that you're human. They want to understand that, you can give a certain percentage of just real factual, newsy things, and then you can do a certain percentage that's real promotional. But if you don't show that you have 3 kids and that you like soccer on the weekends or whatever, then they're just going to see you as just a megaphone platform that's just out there yelling. So social is meant to be interactive. And there's a lot of people that think that, again, just because you're producing content, that it's right. Well, I guess the right or wrong answer is that, yes, you are effectively tweeting, but are you getting the results you want?
I think the issue is it's a big issue now, and I think it's going to continue to be an issue going forward. If you can't be a chiropractor unless you've gone to school and been certified being a chiropractor. There's certification to be an auto mechanic. You have to be tested to be a real estate agent. But nowadays, what ends up happening is with the technology and all of that moving forward, there's less and less of that. You don't have to have any special certification or training to have a business to design websites or to do social media or to do, as we were talking about earlier, life coaching or business coaching or any of that. A lot of these people are, well, I used to work somewhere. Right. I got fired, so now I'm a life coach. Now I'm a business coach.
Right,
now I'm a social media expert. So a lot of these people that are just hanging their own shingle, the biggest problem is, they can do it to some degree, but they probably got fired from the job they had before, and now they're saying they're an expert at doing this. And they're, in most cases, your biggest competition because they're doing it really cheaply because they don't have any overhead, they don't have any real formal training, they don't have any real experience. They're just trying to pay the bills.
I had a really interesting conversation with a gentleman who was a self-proclaimed expert in social media, and he was doing a presentation on how many more hits a website got that was from 0 to 50, and then the number of hits a website got that was from 50 to 100. And he was really talking about the amount of content. And most of the presentation was around the emphasis of having a lot of content. And, to which I responded after the presentation was done that content is important, yes. And having an adequate amount of content out there is important as well. But I see a lot of people put what I call junk content on the web. And I don't care if it's 50 pages or 100 pages or 200 pages. When your content that you're putting online is junk, I click on it and I'm going, okay, I have no interest there. You've not only lost me then, but you've lost me for life, because every single time anything that comes up with regard to that organization, I'm not interested, because they are, not only did they have a little bit of junk, but now they got 100 pages of junk. Well, I'm not interested. And so the content really has to be something that's of value to the viewer and the consumer out there. And I think what a lot of people miss in this whole piece is that who really is your customer? Why really does your customer want to do business with you? And if you haven't answered any of those questions and you're just throwing stuff out on the web, well, it's like the old blast form of marketing. You're just throwing mud on a wall and seeing what sticks. And unfortunately, not very much will stick in this social media market.
And it's still, even though they have funny names like Yelp or Twitter or all these crazy new names, they're communication tools. And if you do not apply that to traditional marketing, that's where we find we really can separate ourselves from the masses. Is that I look at it not only as, okay, you're putting content or you're putting something up, but what is that conversion point? What is that
Exactly.
call? What is going to actually happen from that piece of content? Are you putting up a YouTube video just because you want people to feel happy that day? Or are you putting up a YouTube video, or a YouTube video of the 30, worst cooks in America type of thing because, either you can try this at home or why don't you make a reservation with us tonight? And after watching a video like that, it's kind of humorous and you're like, oh yeah, I guess I don't want to try this at home. And so I'm going to let the restaurant do the cooking tonight. We call it doing intentional social media, where you're actually looking into your demographic. Not every brand needs to have a social media in a box. Somebody might try and set you up with Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, but do you actually have stuff, first of all, to be on YouTube? Do you have videos ready to go? Or where's your audience? We care. Yes, we do care about our clients, but we care more about where are your clients coming from? How do they gather their information based on how they're going to make a decision on whether or not to purchase your services or product? And then once we have that figured out and we know where those audiences are, we create an actual strategy to go on those social media platforms and a regular calendar of putting when we're going to say something, when we're going to respond, when we're going to be watching these channels to make sure we're listening to them as well. So there's some social interaction to it. But it's also preparing, that's also the difference that a small business owner struggles with because they use Facebook at home. So why am I going to pay somebody else to do Facebook for my business? How you use Facebook at home is completely different than how you're going to use Facebook, or should be completely different than how you actually use it for your business. You should have business goals and objectives. And again, well, like we say, intentional social media.
Now, you mentioned before the show that there was a time when Google actually updated what was available out there every 23 days. Well, I know from some recent experiences that obviously it's not 23 days anymore.
Nope.
In fact, it's not even 23 minutes anymore. It was an experiment that we did with a group of people, and the content, what we put really doesn't matter, but we created some content, posted on the web, and then started searching it to see how quickly we could find it. And it was 6 minutes after it was posted, we were able to find it on Google.
Yeah.
And so when you start thinking about that, it's very much, and that has a lot to do with why people are depending on it as well for even news sources and stuff like that, because they don't have to wait for the 10 o'clock news to come on. The story's already out there hours ago. They don't have to wait for updates on what's happening in the stock market and other people. It's right there on the web. And so people are looking at this for at the web for a lot of different things, and organizations that aren't taking this seriously are making a huge mistake.
Well, and case in point, I've done some consulting for professional sports teams in town. They were unaware of the fact that places like ESPN are paying roomfuls of interns just to monitor every single NFL player's Twitter account. To see what the next big...
Because people are breaking things on Twitter because it's instantaneous and it's to that consumer or the fan, instantly. There's that direct connection that's never been available, and it's 24/7. It's very effective.
And the media is finding a news source, and they still do the kind of, okay, but we got to verify. Yes, we saw it break on Twitter, but now you're also finding news agencies that are breaking things before they've done fact checking. There have been some horrific cases of that in the past year, but I think all in all, people now are taking, okay, we've got this. We're tentatively saying, yes, this is being said on social media. We're investigating, and we'll have more information for you soon. But that's also how a lot of news agencies are working right now to find. So I guess that goes back to, as a business, what am I proactively putting out there? Could I actually be putting news out about my company that could be found by a journalist and reported on?
Right. Well, in the evolving role of PR, as I've seen it for the last 20 years or so that I've worked in it, it's amazing that you think of someone like a Sid Hartman. Sid equals Star Tribune Sports, period. That's a kind of a dying ability to say that plus that equals this. You look at someone like a John Baumhoff from Business Journal. Now, when he started 8 years ago, he was a reporter, and he still is a reporter. Nowadays, he reports, he blogs, he tweets. He has a personal Facebook, so at least he doesn't have to do that professionally. He also is a broadcaster. So he goes on Fox 9 at 5 and 6 in the morning on Friday to talk about the print edition, as well as WCCO radio. So one traditional publicist or one traditional media now can get your message out there in 7 or 8 different ways. So there's been a lot of evolution.
Very nice. We've been visiting with Mary and Christopher Lauer from Sterling Cross Communications. If you'd like to reach out to them, you can reach them on the web at sterlingcrossgroup.com. Again, the website sterlingcrossgroup.com. You can also reach the office at 763-496-1499. Again, 763-496-1499. Again, Mary and Christopher Lauer from Sterling Cross Communications. I'm Kevin Hunter here on the Business Forum Show. Thanks for joining us here on the show today.